You came back. Good. Pull up a chair and try not to make a sound. This is the last whisper. A man named Daniel Mercer found an old voice recorder after his mother's funeral. It was hidden behind a fake wall in her bedroom closet, wrapped in towels, sealed inside a plastic bag, and marked with one warning in her handwriting: do not play the last file. The first recordings were from his childhood. The next recordings were from nights he did not remember. The final recording was dated tomorrow. And when Daniel played it, he heard his own adult voice begging his dead mother to wake up because something under the house had started breathing again. Daniel was 9 years old when his father gave him the recorder. It was cheap, gray, and small enough to fit in one hand. His parents had just divorced, and his father had started showing up on weekends with gifts instead of explanations. One weekend it was a toy car. Another weekend it was a telescope. Then it was this little recorder with a red button that clicked every time Daniel pressed it. Daniel loved it right away. He recorded everything. He recorded himself making monster sounds. He recorded the dog barking at the mailman. He recorded his mother laughing in the kitchen, then telling him to turn that thing off. He even recorded the rain on his bedroom window and played it back under the covers. Back then it was just a toy. Then the house changed. After the divorce, Daniel lived with his mother in a small house at the end of Briar Lane. During the day it felt normal enough. At night it felt too big for two people. The hallway seemed longer. The floorboards cracked after midnight. The vents made low breathing sounds when the heat came on. Daniel's mother worked early shifts at the hospital, so she usually went to bed before him. Daniel would lie awake in his room with the recorder next to his pillow, listening to the house settle around him. The first whisper came in November. Daniel woke up because someone had said his name right next to his ear. Daniel. It was soft, close, almost gentle. He sat up fast. His bedroom door was open and the hallway was empty. Across the hall, his mother's door was cracked and he could hear her little fan turning beside the bed. There was nobody in the room with him. He told himself it was a dream. The next night it happened again. This time the voice said, "Stay still." Daniel stayed still until the sun came up. After that, he started recording while he slept. He did not tell his mother why. Every night he put the recorder on the nightstand, pointed the tiny microphone toward the room, pressed record, and pulled the blanket up to his chin. Most mornings there was nothing, just his breathing, the furnace, the rustle of sheets, static. Then one morning Daniel heard something that made him drop the recorder on the floor. For almost an hour the recording sounded normal. He was asleep. A car passed outside. A branch scraped the window. Then there was a dull bump near the floor, like something heavy had shifted under the bed. Daniel's sleeping voice mumbled. Then a woman's voice answered. "Not tonight." Daniel screamed until his mother ran into the room. She thought he had fallen or hurt himself. Daniel shoved the recorder into her hands and told her to listen. At first she looked annoyed and tired. Then the woman's voice came through the speaker. "Not tonight." His mother's face went pale. She played the file again. Daniel watched her carefully, and that was when he got more scared. She did not look confused anymore. She looked like she recognized the voice. When Daniel asked who it was, his mother said it was probably a radio signal. Maybe a neighbor's baby monitor. Maybe one of his toys. She said all the normal things adults say when they need a child to stop asking questions. But her hands were shaking. That night she slept in a chair beside Daniel's bed. The next morning the recorder was gone. Daniel searched everywhere. He looked under the bed, in the closet, behind the dresser, and in the laundry basket. He accused his mother of throwing it away. She said she had not seen it. That was a lie. The whispers stopped after that, or at least Daniel thought they stopped. Years passed. The recorder became one of those childhood memories that sounds too strange to tell people. Daniel grew up. He went to school, moved out, and tried to turn that house into something small in his mind. His mother never mentioned the recorder again. She also never slept well again. When Daniel was a teenager, he often found her awake in the kitchen at 2 in the morning with a cup of cold tea in front of her. Sometimes he heard her walking the hallway, stopping outside his bedroom door, and then moving on. If he asked what she was doing, she said she had insomnia. When Daniel left for college, she called every Sunday night at exactly 9. She always asked the same question. Are you sleeping okay? At the time, Daniel found it annoying. He was grown. He did not want his mother treating him like a little boy afraid of the dark. Years later, when cancer put her in the hospital, she held his wrist and gave him one strange instruction. She said, "If you ever find something of yours hidden in my house, leave it hidden." Daniel thought the illness had made her confused. He promised her anyway. 3 months after her funeral, he broke that promise. He was cleaning out her house one room at a time. Some days he could work for hours. Other days he would find something simple, like a grocery list in her handwriting, and lose the rest of the afternoon. Her bedroom closet was the last place he cleaned. Behind a stack of folded blankets, Daniel found a thin piece of plywood screwed into the wall. It had been painted the same color as the closet, and the edges were covered with old tape. He removed the screws. Behind the panel was a plastic freezer bag. Inside the bag was a bundle of towels. Inside the towels was the gray recorder from his childhood. It looked smaller now. The plastic had turned yellow. The battery cover was cracked, but the red button was still there. Around the recorder was a strip of masking tape. His mother's handwriting was written across it in black marker. "Daniel, do not play the last file." The recorder should not have worked. It did. When Daniel pressed the power button, the screen lit up. There were 28 files. He sat at the kitchen table and played the first ones. They were harmless. His child's voice singing nonsense songs, his father laughing too loudly, his mother telling him to brush his teeth, the dog barking, a birthday party. Little pieces of a life that no longer existed. Then came the night recordings. The first few were just breathing and static. Then Daniel found the file from that November night, his sleeping breath. The branch at the window, the dull bump near the floor, his child's voice mumbling, then the woman, "Not tonight." Daniel's mouth went dry. He played the next file. This one was from the night after. For 2 minutes there was only static. Then Daniel's sleeping child voice whispered, "Why not?" The woman answered from somewhere lower than the nightstand, "Because she is awake." Daniel stopped the recording and looked toward the hallway. His mother was dead now. There was no chair beside his bed, no footsteps outside his door, no one staying awake to protect him from whatever had once been in that room. He played another file. His child's voice asked, "Are you under there?" The woman said, "Sometimes." Then child Daniel asked, "Where are you when you are not under there?" The woman answered, "Where mothers put what they cannot bury." Daniel felt sick before he fully understood why. When he was 16, he had learned during a family argument that there had been a baby before him, a girl. She was born too early and died shortly after birth. His mother never talked about her. There were no photos in the house, no tiny shoes kept in a box, no grave Daniel had ever visited. As a teenager, Daniel thought his mother stayed silent because she wanted to forget. Now he understood that silence can also mean fear. The next recording began with his mother crying. She sounded young, much younger than Daniel remembered her. She was breathing hard, like she was trying not to fall apart. "Please," she whispered, "take it back." He did nothing. A little girl laughed. It was not a normal laugh. It sounded copied, like something had learned how children laugh by listening from another room. Then the same woman's voice spoke. "You asked for one child to stay," Daniel's mother sobbed. "I did not know who was listening. You asked." "I was grieving. You asked." There was a slow scraping sound like fingernails dragging across wood. His mother whispered, "What do you want?" The little girl answered, "To be inside where it is warm." His mother said no. The little girl said, "Then watch." "Watch what?" "Him." "For how long?" "Until you stop." The file ended. Daniel sat at the kitchen table with both hands flat on the wood. Now his mother's life made sense in the worst possible way. The sleepless nights, the hallway checks, the vents she covered, the closet doors she made him keep shut, the baby monitor she kept plugged in long after he was too old for it, the way she always asked if he was sleeping. She had not been nervous, she had been watching. Something had found his mother in grief. Maybe it used the voice of the daughter she lost. Maybe it answered a prayer she never should have said out loud. Whatever it was, it wanted Daniel, and his mother had spent the rest of her life keeping it away by staying awake and paying attention. There were still 3 files left. Daniel could have stopped. He could have wrapped the recorder back in the towels, put it behind the wall, and left the house. He did not stop. The next file had no date. There was not even a real name on the screen, just a blank space. When he pressed play, there was no static at all. That was the first thing that felt wrong. Old recordings always have a little noise in them. This one sounded sealed, like the microphone had been placed inside a room with no air. Then he heard his mother breathing, slow, careful, awake. A little girl's voice whispered, "Getting tired?" His mother did not answer. The girl whispered, "Blink." Still nothing. Blink. Then the woman started humming. The sound moved through the recording, first close to the microphone, then far away, then under it, then above it. It was soft enough to sound like a lullaby, but there was nothing comforting in it. The little girl said, "He will come back someday." His mother whispered, "I know. He will find it. No. He will listen. No." The girl said, "Everyone listens when the dead leave instructions." The file ended. Daniel stared at the recorder. One file remained, the last file. The date on it was tomorrow, May 20th, 2026. The length was 47 seconds. Daniel checked his phone. The date was real. The recorder was showing a file from one day in the future. That was when he understood his mother's warning. She had not told him to avoid the last file because it held a painful memory. She had warned him because the last file had not happened yet. Daniel's thumb moved over the button. Then he pressed play. At first there was silence. Then Daniel heard his own voice. Not his childhood voice, his voice now. He sounded terrified. "Mom, please," the recorded Daniel whispered. "Please wake up." In the background, something dragged across the floor, slow, heavy, wet at the edges. The recorded Daniel said, "It is in the hall." Then came 3 soft knocks. They were not on a door, they came from beneath the floor. Daniel's recorded voice started to break. "I should have left it where you put it." The dragging sound came closer. Then the woman's voice returned, exactly the same as it had been when Daniel was 9. "She is not watching now." Daniel heard himself inhale to scream. The file cut off. The real kitchen went silent. Then the recorder beeped. A new file appeared. It had tomorrow's date. It was also 47 seconds long. Daniel had not pressed record. The file name was "Open It." Somewhere in the house, a floorboard creaked. Daniel stood so quickly the chair fell over. He grabbed his keys and ran to the front door. The lock turned. The handle moved. The door did not open. It sat dead in the frame, like the house had grown around it. He tried the back door. Nothing. He tried the kitchen window. It lifted 2 inches and stopped. Outside, rain ran down the glass, but the world beyond it looked flat, like a picture pressed against the window. The recorder beeped again. Another file appeared. The name was Hallway. Daniel did not touch it. It played by itself. His own voice whispered through the speaker, "Do not look at the floor vent." The file ended. Daniel looked at the floor vent. It was under the kitchen cabinets, painted white, the same vent his mother used to cover every winter. Now the slats looked black. Not dark, black, like there was no bottom underneath them. Then something inside the vent breathed. Long, human, patient. Daniel whispered his mother's name. The recorder beeped again. A new file appeared. This one was dated today. The name was Mother. Daniel pressed play. His mother's voice filled the kitchen. "Danny, if you are hearing this, I failed to make you understand." The vent breathed again. His mother's voice continued. "There are things that wait for grief. They do not break into a house. They wait until someone opens a place inside themselves and lets them answer. After your sister died, I begged for one child to stay. I did not know a prayer could have teeth." Daniel covered his mouth. His mother said, "I watched you because watching was the only thing it feared. Attention holds some doors shut. A mother can do that for a long time, but not forever." The lights flickered. "Do not answer it," she said. "Do not bargain with it. Do not say her name if she asks you to. And if another file appears, leave before it finishes playing." The recording clicked. For 1 second there was only static. Then his mother's voice came back, much farther away. "Danny, it already knows you listened." Every light in the house went out. When the lights came back on, the basement door was open. Daniel had not touched it. Cold air moved down the hallway and into the kitchen. On the inside of the basement door, one word had been written over and over in his mother's handwriting. Watch. Hundreds of times, in marker, in pen, scratched into the paint, written near the floor where she must have been kneeling. Daniel finally saw the house for what it was. The covered vents were not about drafts. The locked closets were not about being tidy. The hallway lights were not just lights. The baby monitor was not a habit she forgot to break. The whole house had been a warning system, and his mother had built her life around it. The recorder beeped again. Daniel refused to look. It beeped again, then again. Finally, his eyes dropped to the screen. A new file waited there. No date, no length. The name was Blink. Daniel ran. This time the front door opened. Rain hit his face as he stumbled down the steps. He crossed the lawn and threw the recorder into the storm drain as hard as he could. It hit the metal grate, bounced once, and slipped between the bars. For 1 second, Daniel felt relief. Then the recorder beeped from inside his coat pocket. He froze in the rain. Slowly, he reached into the pocket and pulled it out. The little gray recorder was dry, warm, glowing. One file waited on the screen. Thank you for making room. Behind Daniel, every light in his mother's house went out at the same time. The front door opened. Something stepped onto the porch. It did not run after him. It did not need to. Daniel understood too late that the house had never been the prison. The recorder had never been the trap. His mother's attention had been the lock, and when Daniel listened, he opened it. Now no one was watching. Neighbors later said they heard Daniel shouting for his mother in the rain. One woman across the street claimed she saw a barefoot little girl standing under the maple tree, smiling at something behind him. By the time police arrived, Daniel was gone. Inside the house, they found the kitchen chair on the floor, the basement door closed, and the old recorder sitting on the counter. It had no batteries inside. There were no playable files. One officer said the screen lit up for half a second while they were sealing it in an evidence bag. She refused to repeat exactly what she saw. She only said it looked like a question. Daniel Mercer was never found. The house stayed empty for almost a year before it was sold. The new owners lasted 11 days. Their youngest child kept waking up beside the bed instead of in it, staring at the floor as if someone underneath was telling him where to go. Before that family moved out, the child's mother found tape covering every upstairs vent. She had not put it there. This story leaves one clear warning. Some instructions from the dead are not memories, they are locks. Daniel's mother did not hide the recorder because she wanted to forget what happened. She hid it because listening gave the thing a way back in. And now the question is simple. Would Daniel have survived if he had trusted his mother's warning? Or was the recorder always waiting for the moment someone finally pressed play?